Innovate for Impact is the theme for the Innovation Week this year, which is scheduled to take place in March here in Tanzania. And to speak about the Innovation Week in Tanzania, with me on the Monday agenda is Joe Manirakizo, is the country director of HDIF. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you also.
First and foremost, tell us about the Innovation Week and why is it important that we commemorate Innovation Week in Tanzania?
Innovation Week, this is going to be the 6th time it's actually running. It was introduced in Tanzania by the HDIF, which is the Human Development Innovation Fund, a program that has been started by UK Aid in Tanzania. And we started it so that we can give a platform to innovators, private sector, the government, policymakers and everyone to actually meet in one place to talk about matters doing the innovation. We've been saying that if you look at the SDGs and everything to do with development, everyone's saying that we cannot do development by doing the same things the same way that we've been doing. So we have to think of new ways. So what you're trying to do is to actually bring together a lot of people who are interested in development, technology enthusiasts, innovators, and so you can actually talk about, exchange ideas, and also be able to showcase what they are doing as far as innovation and technology is concerned. So that's the reason why we keep on curating Innovation Week every year, which actually keeps on attracting a lot of people, and has become now a very popular kind of platform for innovation stakeholders in Tanzania.
What exactly is Innovate for Impact? How did you come with that theme?
Everyone is saying that they're innovating, they're doing something new. But if we really want to bring about change, we are trying to encourage people that whatever you come up with, a good idea or good thing should have an impact that's going to come out to cause. So we are encouraging people now, okay, fine, you're innovating, great, but let's not just come up with the shiny stuff. They should have something that they're going to change in the society. So the society actually needs something from you. So that's why we chose that Innovate for Impact as the main theme for this year.
Okay.
Yeah.
You commemorated last year, in my recollection, the 5th year. I don't know if I should call it a 5th anniversary or 5th year since you started putting together the Innovation Weeks in Tanzania.
Correct.
This is the 6th one.
Correct.
How is this going to be different from the previous 5?
Yeah. So how we had been running Innovation Week, it has started off as like another activity of the program, right? So later on to grow to become more of like a popular platform, which is just beyond HDIF. And last year we experienced to come up with how we can actually bring on board other people who are not part of HDIF, either as sponsors or also as organizers. And we like this time around, it needs to be bigger. It needs to just grow beyond the program, so that later on it can actually become sustainable without being dependent on the program, which is going to end at some point. So what's different this year is we have now strengthened what we started last year by bringing on board more and more sponsors. So right now we have a lot of private sector players who are actually involved in taking on Innovation Week as sponsors. We have more an interested party to actually organize, and we are looking at having it being adopted by someone in late years. So soon we are going to be announcing now who is on board as sponsors, gold sponsors, diamond sponsors, and who are the other partners we are going to be working with. But today what we want to talk about is mainly to call upon people so they can actually come and showcase what they have, host events. If you have any kind of policy discussion you want to engage in, so this is actually the platform which is free for everybody to come and take advantage.
We'll get to that. Yes. So the theme is Innovate for Impact.
Correct.
And I understand there are build-up themes towards that.
Yes.
So that people can now understand before we make the call for
Yes.
them to now respond. They need to understand what are the sub-themes.
Yes.
That link up to that main theme.
Yeah, correct. So we chose the Innovate for Impact as the main theme because it's quite general, because we believe that whatever we do within the innovation area, it's geared towards driving some kind of impact. But within that, there are several other sub-themes. We have just selected 5 this year. There has been a discussion around, like, we have so many startups, you have so many ideas that come but don't get supported, don't go beyond like the pilot stage. And one of the reasons that has been given is the availability or access to financing. So we are like, okay, maybe let's have a discussion around financing innovation in Tanzania. Who actually should be involved? Who is there? Who's doing what? So they can actually be able to talk to each other, and so that even innovators can know where to go. So that's the first sub-theme. The other theme is about
the first sub-theme is on financing.
Okay, innovation.
All right.
Yes. So we want discussions around that, whether it's banks, whether it's developing financial institutions, whether it's donors, like who is doing what. Let's have a discussion around that. The other sub-theme is about partnerships. So one of the SDGs actually is about collaboration partnership. So we wanted to actually see how we can encourage people and institutions to partner together so we can bring about change. Because it's one thing if you have a good idea which is going to result into a business, but if the policy makers or regulator do not understand what you're trying to do and how it's going to bring about change, it might not go very far. So you're like, okay, maybe from the beginning, let's see how we can partner with everybody who is involved in making the innovation ecosystem flourish. The other thing is, like, right now we're talking about climate change. We're talking about what can do if it's having, the threat it's causing to the humanity. Yes. So we want people to also talk about the green innovations for development or for industrial development. So I'm quite sure there are people who are doing great stuff out there. So if they can come out and showcase and also discuss means of how we can actually embrace green technologies and green innovation for what we can actually develop sustainably and responsibly. And the other one is about leaving no one behind. It's also one of the important SDG. And in then, we want people to discuss the issue of gender innovation. We want people to discuss the issue of disability, the issue of children, so if there's anyone who has got a theme or something to talk about or a policy discussion, we are inviting them to come on board and discuss. So we are trying to kind of cover everything that can lead to impact.
Okay, there's one more you've missed. You've mentioned 4.
Yeah, I've mentioned 4. So I'm trying to remember. Okay, we had talked about financing for innovation, green innovation. Correct. We talked about leaving no one behind. We talked about partnerships. There's another one. We want people to actually showcase emerging technologies. Emerging technologies. Yes. Okay. I mean, you've heard people talking about blockchain, robotics, everything. So we want to this is now going to be a platform for people to see what other stakeholders are actually doing in that particular area. Okay. Because we cannot talk about development right now without focusing on technology. So that's also another important area.
Great. These are all very important sub-themes. I'm sure they are well thought. But are they... Well, they're related to the SDGs, or they've emanated from the SDGs. But I'm looking on to mainly the challenges that the country, Tanzania, faces at the moment. Correct. I know every year you come up with, I think last year there was a component of health. Yes. If I remember well. And that's why I asked what is so special this year. When you close a year, do you sit back and evaluate the impact that you're bringing in the society, or the output? Yes. Probably the impact is long lasting, but the output.
For an important activity like innovation, you actually even produce a report about what how did this innovation week go, and we have an innovation week report for 2019, which actually informed how we curated this particular innovation week 2020. This particular we didn't want to go into sectoral kind of themes. We wanted to open it up so whoever is has got some kind of innovative technology in health, education, industry, whatever, they can actually have a platform rather than actually limiting. So that's if the fact that you mentioned that they are linked to SDGs. I think SDGs now it's a kind of a globally accepted platform for everyone who's doing, because the 17 SDGs actually cover almost everything. Yeah. So whatever you want to do within the development arena, it's actually covers somewhere within SDGs, all the indicators kind of really all over the place. So we cannot reinvent the wheel. We cannot come up with something new because it's going to find a place in SDG anyway.
How does HTIF move this great wealth of knowledge beyond Dar es Salaam?
Last year when we did innovation, I think you remember we talked about going outside Dar es Salaam. Correct. Right. We had actually innovation week in 2 other regions, Arusha and Iringa, that were organized by our partners. This time around, we're actually growing the reach.
Good.
So we're going to have a special editions again in Iringa, Arusha, Mbeya, Zanzibar, and the main one actually in Dodoma. So we are discussing with all partners, I mean the government through COSTECH, to see how we can actually make it bigger in these other regions as well. So over time, what we hope to see is to see like Innovation Week now is a national kind of event. I mean, it has to start from somewhere. So that's why we started from Dar es Salaam, and we are growing organically.
Okay.
Yeah, so we are going to be working with other stakeholders in Dodoma to actually make the Dodoma one quite big.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've mentioned COSTECH.
Yes.
Who are the public sector players that you work with closely in during the Innovation Week?
Well, during the Innovation Week, there are actually many more organizations that come on board. COSTECH is because the strategic partner to the HDIF, so they have been there from the beginning, so we actually work with them. But there are also others. The Ministry of Education is very much involved. They've been officiating our Innovation Week like every year. And that's why we also got a challenge from the Deputy Minister to make sure that at least when it comes to exhibition, it's no longer like something which is indoor, should be open to many people who have got great stuff to show. Okay, so this time around, we took that on board to be able to make it in a very more open space so people can actually have access to that. And so there are other institutions which are affiliated to the Ministry of Education, something, because that's actually the custodian of innovation in Tanzania. So they're also much more involved now in organizing the event. But in other innovation-related work, when it comes to policy, we are also working with other institutions like the National Economic Empowerment Council, who are also very much involved in supporting the work of make sure that the innovation hubs work together, the startups kind of get organized and stuff like those. We can be able to push whatever positive changes we want to see through some umbrella organizations. So there are many more organizations coming on board which are very much involved into.
Before I bring a true picture of what is trending now in Tanzania, slightly later on, I wish to understand, you've been putting the reports. You said you have the report for 2019.
Yes.
I wish to understand how detailed is your report in terms of covering the consumer's perspective, the people who come for this exhibition.
Yes.
As to either not to participate in exhibiting or anything, but come to see what's transpiring. Do you also have their feedback captured in the report?
Yes, we actually do. We do collect feedback. We normally do run surveys throughout the week to actually see what people think about whatever theme is being discussed or the organization or where we should improve. And those have been captured in a snippet in our report as well.
Then what was the next stage after that?
After that we actually use that kind of feedback to inform how we design the following up events. Like if they said, for instance, that we would like to see this particular organization being involved, so we actually make sure that at least we approach them. For instance, in previous innovation weeks, and we have been told that, okay, we do not see much of the public institutions being involved, and we're like, okay, now we are trying to actually push to make sure that they get involved in not just Innovation Week, but also in other activities that we do. Or there has been concerns about the private sector not actually being very much seen. So this time around, I don't want to announce who is coming on board, but very soon we are going to announce who are the sponsors, who are actually big names in private sector, and I think that's going to make a whole difference. I mean, who are joining our development partners who actually fund Innovation Week. We are trying to bring academic institutions also closer to innovation. They can start talking about innovation. I know there are some universities that have started their innovation hubs, but we want them to be seen, because I think what has been happening is that we see academic institutions as if they are kind of close to themselves, but knowledge comes from there. So if knowledge which comes from it is not going to be useful to the general public, then people are not to say that, okay, there's that kind of connection. So we want to strengthen that link by getting them more and more involved as well. Yes.
You are watching the Monday Agenda, and with me is Joe, Country Director for HDIF, looking onto the Innovation Week, which is scheduled to take place on the second week of March, but details to follow. And we're looking onto the theme that carries the Innovation Week this year, which is Innovate for Impact. And now, Joe, just to understand, and I'm sure my viewers would also be very interested in understanding, just mentioned the private sector, but you've mentioned the private sector in the sense of sponsorship, in the sense of, partnering but giving the financial resource. I'm looking onto the role of private sector in innovation as a whole. We are almost getting towards the closure of the national identification registration in Tanzania with biometrics. And one of the challenges has been, the duration which the whole process takes place. It takes time, the technology. And I kept wondering myself, with such a overwhelming number of people going onto the centers, could there be no support in terms of technical support from the private sector, innovatively to come and address these challenges, so that you can be able to, for instance, like passport, you can apply for a new passport through your phone. You go, you do your biometrics, and then you wait for the passport. Couldn't it be done by the private sector? What is other role of the private sector in innovation besides just giving finances to support such an innovative idea?
Yeah, the financing a bit is just one way of private sector actually showing that they're more involved and they're more engaged. But there are so many other ways that we're actually working with the private sector to support and scale the innovation ecosystem in Tanzania. And how I see the Innovation Week is actually that platform is going to give them like a room for them actually to show what else they are doing, right? So the private sector is very much engaged. I think there has been a lot of consultation between the private sector and the government on how actually they can work together and push the development of technology and how it can actually help issues like the individuals we are talking about. And I think in one way, that will be like my opinion. I strongly believe that we have, is it 4 or 5 now telecom companies in Tanzania? Which are very strong, which have got a wide reach. So I think if they were much more engaged from the design of the identification process, they could have helped. Because, the technology that is working, they also kind of could have access to that. I think there is still a room of the government and the private sector to work together, especially when it comes to technology, so that we can actually be able to be more efficient. Because there is no reason why the registration of people should take that long and should be that problematic when you actually have a lot of minds within the government and the private sector. So there must be something that can actually be done, and this is the room for them to discuss that.
The fifth regime under His Excellency John Joseph Pombe Magufuli is promoting Tanzania towards middle income state through industrialization. And you can't talk industrialization if you can't talk of innovation. You speaking of innovation, you're also speaking of research. You're also speaking of growth into the innovation sector. How have the previous 5 years literally contributed to the growth of industries? At least ideas that could, promote development of industries in Tanzania?
I believe that we have seen some changes, right? And that are kind of fueling the growth that we are witnessing. Can actually apply for the passport just online. You can actually get some services online. You don't have to go to queue at the Ministry of Lands to pay your rent, for instance. Yes. So that also shows how we are kind of relying on the technological development to actually deliver service to the general public. I'm not saying that there's no room for improvement, definitely, but at least there's some light that, okay, if we can do this, then probably we could do this, then probably we could do this. So we could also avoid this kind of delays and everything by just relying on technology innovation. So it's just a matter of that's why I'm talking about partnering. It's just a matter of sitting there together to say, okay, there's an opportunity here, there's a challenge here, but there are also people, there are innovative minds here who can actually help you solve it. So it's just a matter of bringing all those people together so you can be able to discuss that.
A young person who has a brilliant idea, state of art, which could address, health, education, employment, rather unemployment, because that's the issue. I've mentioned the 3 most common enemies since independence, but they're very more today. Where do they? How do you meet them? Where do you meet with them? They have the ideas, There's HDAF, which has this platform. But how do you bring together these young people, this new generation, trendy, fast-paced generation with ideas? Where do you meet them? Which other platform other than the Innovation Week that incubates them, for instance, incubates the ideas? You've mentioned on the sub-theme the issues of finance the ideas, see to it, because some of these are probably out of school, not bankable, they do not have, they have ideas, but they do not know how to move forward with that idea. Do you have any program for such?
Maybe not directly, but when we start, I always talk about the development of innovation hubs in the country. And to me, those are the best avenues that actually young people can actually go and test the ideas from. Because when you go there, you meet like-minded kind of people, and you actually get access to mentors. When HDF started, there were about 2 innovation hubs in the country. There's one which was started by COSTECH through the partnership with Finland, and there was one private one that was Kino Innovation. Over time, we are counting over 40. And they're not only just in Dar es Salaam, they are now innovation hubs like in the country as well. You also have some other areas where actually people can meet. I mean, you have CIDO that have got incubator for people who have got ideas that who can actually manufacture something. So what we keep on telling people is like, look for information, get out there. If you have an idea, get people to discuss it. You can actually hone it together. It can actually become something, because having an idea is not enough. If you cannot transform it into something that of value that can be able to sell. Correct. So we are kind of encouraging the young people to actually use these networks, these innovation hubs, and also get out there when there's like some kind of conference where you feel like they're going to discuss something which is of value, which can link it to what you are thinking about. Just go there and get the knowledge. And eventually now, for someone who has already done something which is actually visible, they want to improve it, they want to get it seen. Now the platform like Innovation Week is where they need to go. But it's not just Innovation Week. If you have something you're going to be selling, like there's trade fair like every year, international trade fair. Like there is Nane if you have something to do with agriculture, agricultural technology. So there are actually several platforms. So for Innovation Week, just that we want to kind of just focus on innovation. But there are other platforms that actually the young people can take advantage of.
Okay. Yeah. So walk us through the Innovation Week.
Yes.
Is it the 5 days, Monday through Friday? Is it the 7 days, Monday through Sunday? And what are some of the activities and now place that call that, people can now bring in the ideas, people can bring in the products, and what kind of products, what kind of ideas, what kind of debates they want to carry forth?
We call it Innovation Week, which normally usually runs over a week.
Okay.
But sometimes it can
5
actually...
days or 7 days?
It's currently between 5 and 7 days. Okay. So it depends when it starts. So this time around, I say that it's going to happen in Dar es Salaam, Iringa, Arusha, Dodoma, Zanzibar. But that depending on the partners, because what we do, we actually give a room for partners to organize. Like, for instance, if it happens in Iringa, we don't necessarily go to Iringa. We have partners in Iringa who are going to organize it, run it, get speakers, get exhibition, whatever. So that's what happened last year. So it's still going to be the same thing. There are going to be main event in Dar es Salaam. We still need to finalize the logistics. We are going to announce the venue and everywhere, and the schedule is being worked on right now. But it's going to involve exhibition. Since the exhibition has been a very popular part of the Innovation Week, we want to extend that. We are going to do between 2 to 3 days. So we are still debating whether it should be at the beginning or at the end. So we kind of get what people think. The exhibition is going to be part of that. We're still going to allow people to organize events. Events can include like policy discussions, like thematic. If you have something to showcase within health, for instance, maybe people want to discuss, let's say, the impact of e-health on the development of a health system in Tanzania. That's the platform. Like, it's going to be more of a conference or discussion. Or if you want to showcase some more, like you have a new technology that you want people to know about how it works, you apply to be part of the exhibition, so you can get a booth and then be able to encourage people to come and learn about it. You have innovative products or service that you want to launch. This is the platform, we give it to you. You want to share the lessons of a project you have been implementing or the results of a research into something which is going to result into some kind of new technology or innovation. This is the platform. Yeah. So we are encouraging people actually to come and to apply to come and take part into it. We had opened the window of application up to Sunday 19th, but given to the popular demand, we have extended it to by another 1 week.
Okay.
So this is open for those other regions I've talked about, not just Dar es Salaam. Yeah, and what we normally do, there's organizing committee that's not just HDF, but also includes other stakeholders who are going to look through the applications and select the best, because I believe the public deserve to actually engage with the best. Yeah, but in most cases, especially when it comes to innovation, to exhibition, we tend to have like a bit of space, so we want a lot more people to come and exhibit their stuff.
Describe your achievements for the past 5 years.
When it comes to Innovation Week, when we started, the first Innovation Week, we had about 550 participants.
Okay.
Right now, we are talking about last year only, we got over 2,200 participants. We are looking at how many events will actually be being hosted. Now we have, last year we had about 77 events, and we had to discuss some of them because we didn't have space. So there's actually much more demand, and you can actually see that people are actually talking about that. Right now, if you go in many institutions, whether it's private, development partners, or even within a government, 5 years ago we didn't talk about innovation policy in some of the institutions, right? But now go to institutions like VETA or CID or whatever, they're talking about having innovation policies in place, so you can be able to guide, So the discussion about innovation and linking innovation with development has grown tremendously, and that it's no longer something that people say, you're talking about innovation, what is that, what can do? But now everyone knows what innovation actually can do, and everyone understands that we cannot keep on working the same way, so we have to change the way we think about system, the way we think about process. Yeah. So that conversation has grown, and we believe that we have contributed to that. But also, since we started engaging the innovation hubs and everything, and so people who were engaged in some of the activities that probably COSTECH started and we started, now went out and said, okay, we can actually start innovation hubs in a hub in Iringa or in, let's say, Arusha. There's an activity that COSTECH was supporting about opening up innovation hubs in universities, and now we have actually quite a number of universities who have got innovation hubs who are supported by COSTECH and through Buni as well. So, and we've been working with COSTECH from the beginning. We support their activities, they also support ours. So we believe there's actually a lot of impact we've made, and maybe not necessarily global, but on Tanzania, but now it's a global movement, if you want to think of that. Look at all the UN agencies now. They are all talking about innovation. They all have the innovation accelerator or innovation lab or innovation hubs, because they believe that you cannot deliver development by keep on using the same thing they've been using. So I think this is a great time to kind of talk about innovation, and a great time to actually engage everyone to think about that. Not just talking about it, but also changing the way we work through innovation.
Tanzania is not an island in this village called Globe.
Yes.
What are the conducts and practice in other countries? Do we also have innovation weeks, for instance, in Kenya or Rwanda or other countries in Africa and beyond?
The Kenyan Innovation Week, in Kenya it's called Nairobi Innovation Week, because it was started by University of Nairobi.
Okay.
It's actually started the same year we did our, but we started earlier than them.
Okay.
So there's a Kenya Innovation Week, there's a Kampala Innovation Week. Rwanda, I'm not quite sure, but the actual activity that happened in Rwanda, conferences, everything that talks about innovation technology. There is also Africa Innovation Week that started last year. Okay. So that's Africa Innovation Week.
Where was this held?
This was held in Addis Ababa. It was hosted by the African Union.
Okay.
So it's actually going. I know there are some representatives from Tanzania who went there as well. There's also Global Innovation Week as well.
Okay.
So it's not that it's not like another thing that we started in Tanzania. Yes, but it's all over the place.
Asking that was rather because what are some of the lessons? I'm sure you've participated in one or two or probably all of them, but what are some of the lessons that we could draw as a country towards improving our Innovation Week? Before I ask my next question, which is focusing, streamlining innovation into addressing the socio-economic and not political, but cultural challenges in the country. But what are some of the lessons that we could really draw as a country?
Last year, I participated in Nairobi Innovation Week.
Okay.
And what struck me, here it kind of, the innovation agenda was being driven by the private sector development partners or something like that. In Kenya, it came from the government. So it was the idea of University of Dar es Salaam, University of Nairobi, but they partnered with the government ministries now to push that forward. So I looked at the exhibition arena that they had. It was quite big within the grounds of University of Nairobi. Like, I saw like 10 booths, over 10 booths from the government ministries. Okay. And many more from the government agencies. So it was officiated by 3 cabinet ministers, okay, all talking about the things that they are doing within their ministries and departments about innovation, how innovation is actually pushing stuff. And in Nairobi, in Kenya, the way they organize, they have counties.
Yes.
I saw several county innovation hubs, like the individual counties have got innovation hubs who have got a budget from the government. Okay. Kenya has set up what they call the Kenya Innovation Agency. Oh, okay. Whose role is actually to push the innovation agenda, to see what kind of systems are in there which are kind of not conducive to innovation grow, and also supporting some of the great ideas that are coming from the various corners. So it's something that has been embraced by the government, okay, right? So that's something that probably we could learn here as well, that, okay, it doesn't matter where it comes from the private sector, or it comes from the development sector. I think the government can actually do much more to embrace it. We see it's coming. We see they're interested, but probably we need to talk about how we can take more action to actually push the innovation agenda forward. Because at the end of the day, it actually serves the government to serve its citizens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
That's the purpose.
Yeah.
Joe, just to understand, we have been relying heavily on agriculture as the backbone of the economy, but it's probably one of the ill-fated sectors in the country in terms of contribution to the GDP, in terms of performance, general performance in the economy, which leads generally to the contribution to the GDP. Yes. Is it not about time that we just don't do what other countries do, but focus the themes towards addressing certain issues? For instance, let's focus 2020 on education, 2021 on health, 2022 on extractive industry, so that people just focus onto that. If we have the private sector that really wants to support, for instance, extractive industry, education, or health, are there now, they come in strength and in power to support the Innovation Week that speaks about. So it becomes the focus. Is it not about time that we do it in our own way, so that we innovate for impact?
You have a point there, and what we've been doing was basically to build the momentum. And you've said that we have a lot of challenges in the country. Yes. All right. So sometimes it's even difficult actually to choose what to focus on. Yeah. All right. I was reading an article recently. I don't remember who wrote it. I think it was on Devex. Like someone was saying between climate, hunger, and what else? Like, what should we focus on?
Interesting.
Exactly.
It's an interesting.
Yeah. So the 3 elements: climate, hunger, and I think something else.
Health, maybe.
Yeah. What should we focus on? They are all pressing. They are all urgent. They all need to be addressed at the same time, right? So even here, agriculture, yes. I strongly believe that we should put a lot of efforts into agriculture. But so is education. Trust me, agriculture is not going to grow if our education system keeps on going down. Because who's going to manage the agriculture systems? We keep on saying, farmers, yes, but are they being supported? Do we have enough extension officers? How are they being trained? So education system comes in place. But again, if you have a population which is not healthy, who's going to dig the land? Who's going to go to school to teach the kids? So I think there are so many issues which can come together. Industry, infrastructure, everything. I think we keep on singing the same song in Dar es Salaam where it rains. Dar es Salaam is very beautiful, but when it rains, my God, it's, you like, what can be done? So there are so many issues that we need to be tackled. So for Innovation Week, I think in the future it can actually be focused. We can dedicate 1 year on one particular theme. But this particular time, we thought it would be great to actually give the platform to almost everyone who has got innovative ideas, innovative services within those industries. So they can actually come, whether you come from agriculture, health, education, at least come together and discuss those ideas. So it's a week long. So I believe there is now space for everyone to actually be able to.
It's a week long, and everyone has a room to showcase. But again, think about it, because in terms of sustainability as well, you know, when you do it by sector, I kind of have a very strong conviction that it will really bring the impact that we really want to see. Because when you put all eggs in one basket, and then when the basket falls, you're doomed. But if we focus,
if it doesn't fall,
then well and good. But when we have deep focus, you know, we want to discuss. We even have the public sector awareness that we want to discuss health. You know, there's so many issues on health. There's so many issues on education. They will come. But rather we table them, we close that chapter, we move on. How can we innovate health? How can we innovate the education sector? Joe, my time is really running short. 1 minute of fame, your call, Innovation Week Tanzania 2020.
We would like to have everyone getting involved. If you don't have something that we want to showcase, at least come and see. We are going to give more details. I believe we are going to meet again, talk about in details now, what's going to involve, when, where, what's going to be discussed. So we discuss about that. But at this particular moment, I would like to have to call upon everyone who's got something to share, everyone who's got like a burning issue that would like to be discussed. If you have an innovative product you would like people to see, you have a great technology that you would like to exhibit, this is the platform. It's free, you don't pay for it. If there are some costs that are involved, we have somebody we can actually support you. So go online, apply. We have shared the link on social media. Go on social media, HDIF Tanzania on Facebook, Twitter, everywhere it's being shared in a group. So even on our website, so hdf-ts.org. So it's everywhere. So let's come together, show what we can do for Tanzania to develop, show what we are already doing, and also if there is any support that is requested, what's needed, at least the people who are in power could actually be able to see. And so there is a lot that's being done, so let's come together and actually showcase that.
It's Innovation Week, Innovate for Impact. This is the Monday agenda, and thank you so much for watching the program, Joe. Thank you for your time and all the best on your preparation.
Thank you very much.
The Monday agenda, I'm your host, Austin Makani.